Hi, hello. Yeah, we have an interesting topic today. What if my specific person, my divine counterpart, my soulmate, my twin flame has a different sexual orientation? Can I still manifest them? This one actually is something that I know from, uh, well, personal experience, even though it's not me. But one of my friends, she was my client first before she became my friend, had that problem. She met her split twin flame, so her divine counterpart, and he was openly gay, and he had been for like 20 years or so. So he's never been with a woman, not ever, not ever. And all of a sudden they met, and he noticed this connection as well, but he was fighting it because he was not into women, and she was, of course, she was into men. But that is something that can happen with divine counterparts sometimes. And the question is why? Because divine counterparts often have to show society um, that it is okay to be true to yourself, that love is the most important thing, that race doesn't matter, nationality doesn't matter, religion doesn't matter, color of your skin doesn't matter, and even sexuality obviously doesn't matter. And in my clients, I had it more often that I had a homosexual client, mostly they were actually women, lesbian, and they met someone, a high level soulmate, that was before that had always been straight and has never been into women, and all of a sudden was like, okay, I feel attracted to a woman now, and I feel this intense connection. I don't know what's going on. And so that has been an issue, and that is something that can happen with divine counterparts, because divine counterparts also volunteered, you could say, to teach society about things that don't matter. And even if you have lived as heterosexual, it could be that all of a sudden, like, your true love is a woman or a man. And in that case of my friend, he has never been like straight, never been in with any woman. He has always been openly gay and only lived with men. So it can go that way around as well. And yeah, what happened is that they had been on their journey, I believe, for 11 years. I think about 11 years, a lot of push and pull, running and chasing, all of that. Him always saying, no, I don't like you, you're a woman, I don't do women, and all of that. However, we were talking after we met almost on a daily basis. And then all of a sudden she pulled back, and I sensed that and I let her be. And then she called me like 3 months later, and she was, okay, what you said happened, what you predicted happened. And was like, okay, I've been reading cards for you for so long, what happened? And I remember she told me her story. Of course, we were talking on a regular basis, and my ego was like, how's that supposed to work out? I don't see how. However, cards were always like, yeah, he does love you, he does feel attracted to you, he doesn't know how to deal with it, but it's there, love is there. And of course my mind was like, how's that gonna work out? But what she did was she moved, and when she moved, she took the energy of the new place and she bought a mug for him, like a cup, a mug, and she was always picturing him drinking out of that mug. Back then I didn't know that she was manifesting, and she didn't consciously know that. It's just something that she did unconsciously. And that is, however, how she manifested him. So one day she called me, she said, yeah, you were right. It was like 3 months later only. They were still like having fighting, and he was like, I never want you. And 3 months later when she called me, they were living together and planning their wedding. And like another couple of months later, they were married. And that was 2019. Yes, 2019. So from only like fighting, and they had never kissed before anything, till being married, it took like half a year. And he told her that, yeah, he always had felt those, you know, what happened is she did not change him. You cannot change another person. You know, in manifestation, there's no one to change but self. She did her manifestation work, and she switched into that timeline. And again, if you can imagine something, then there is a timeline. And she imagined living with him. Just before the 11 years, there was always the lack mentality and the pain of him disappearing, or anger, or stuff like that. You know, that manifestation couldn't come through, even though she was visualizing them being together. But then all of a sudden, when she moved, she just kind of really managed to start all over, and she manifested, she imagined, visualized him being there, and she really got into the state of the wish fulfilled. And then it took like half a year, and then she manifested him in being the person, being attracted to her as a woman, and only wanting her. And again, they married in 2019. We were just on the phone like this month, actually, this month, or the end of last month, and we're still together, of course, married, happy. And he told her that he always felt this connection, but he never thought he'd be with a woman before she came, and he had this inner conflict. But then one day he just realized, oh my God, it's her, it is her. And then it went like all of a sudden, they just had this conversation and it was done. They were together. But again, she manifested that. It's nothing, she did not, you cannot change a person. She just switched to that timeline, what was possible. And the funny thing is, as I said earlier, she didn't know that she was consciously manifesting him. When we were talking last time, I explained it to her. I was like, no, I get what you did, because we hadn't spoken in a while. I now know what you did. It was really that Mach thing you told me about, that visualizing, that is living in the end, and that is how you actually manifested that union. So that was very funny that she did it, and then she told me what she did, and then later I understood what she did and explained to her what she did. Hilarious. But yeah, so don't worry about anything like that. If you are in love with a person that has a different sexual orientation, if you can vividly imagine being with that person, then only because that timeline exists. And it's not your job to convince that person to like you. I always tell my clients, imagine you have pimples on your face, and you look into the mirror. It's not the mirror's fault to show you pimples. And if you exchange the mirror, the other mirror will still show you your pimples. You have to work on your skin routine in order to clear your skin, and then the other person, the mirror, can show you that you have healed something about yourself. So it's never the other person. You cannot change the mirror. You can only change what you put in front of the mirror, meaning your assumptions, your inner belief systems. You have to overcome your old trauma, your lack of believing, your fear of abandonment, your self-worth issues. And as soon as you have healed that, then the other person can mirror that back to you, or rather you go into the timeline where it has always been that way, that that person was available for you, and then you can finally live it. So again, if you can vividly imagine being together with that person, then only because, and that person being attracted to you, then only because that timeline exists. And even if the person you're dealing with right now, that version of that person in that specific timeline, that person may never be attracted to you, but that is okay, because we don't change that person, we change the timeline and we get another version of them, because there's multiple versions of your person, just as there are multiple versions of you. Like every time you made a major decision, you could say the universe split and one of you went way A and the other one went way B, and your consciousness chose whichever way resonated with your back then energy. And then if there was like two more ways, then and it split, then there's again two more versions of you, and then your energy determined which version you got to experience. So there is multiple versions of you in this multiverse as well. However, you only experience that one version that is matching your inner belief. As soon as you that spark of you changes your inner beliefs, you slide into the other body of that other version, which also explains how you can change like physical things. You know, I was explaining in another video that some people, yeah, it was the video about bringing someone back from the dead, that some people can manifest changing their eye colors. You can only do that if you like really imagine having a different eye color. If in this multiverse this version of you exists with having a different eye color, and then you would slide into that timeline where you have that different eye color, but in that multiverse that version of you always had that different eye color. For you it would just seem like it's changing, but in fact it is not changing. It's just you are sliding into the other timeline. And the same goes with sexual orientation. Like for example, I could never imagine kissing a woman, being with a woman at all, but none of the timelines I have experienced yet there was ever like a thing for me to, I'm completely hetero. But you know, there may be a timeline where I'm lesbian. If I can't really imagine it, I can't even imagine kissing a girl. But maybe there was a woman imagining kissing me. I don't know. I've never heard anything like that. But that could only happen if that timeline exists, even if I never experienced that timeline. Which maybe can be another question. Do you now have to be scared that somebody can change your sexual orientation? No, because nobody can change you. What they can do is slide into a different multiverse where you do like them. If in this timeline you don't like them, they cannot manifest you. It's impossible. They can manifest, however, a different version of you that you will never notice, you will never ever know. They can manifest a different version of you where you are into them. So you don't have to be scared that somebody can manipulate you into liking a different gender or anything that you don't like. Like for example, that guy in friend zone, you think like never ever ever ever, that person can't make you. Sorry, if they can imagine being with you, then only because this variety, no, that's not the right word, in German is variable, that option exists in this multiverse. But if you're like no, that's like a no-go, I never want that, you will never experience that timeline. However, if they would do their work, they could slide into that timeline where you are into them. But you won't ever notice. Just like I always say as an example, remember that time when, for example, you almost choked, you get like a piece of cookie in the wrong pipe, and then however you thought you were dying and then you didn't. Well, if you thought you were dying, then there is a version of you where you did die. Did you notice that? No, because you chose the timeline where you survived. So you don't know what happens in the other timelines. You can only know what is happening by imagining that. But since there's so many possibilities, you cannot even imagine all variations, and you don't have to, because you get to choose which ones you want to experience. So I hope this helped you. So yeah, if you love somebody who is not into you, you can still manifest them. It is not manipulation. You cannot manipulate you. I would not advise you to talk them into liking you or to try to change their mind. It doesn't work. It's a waste of energy, and it will not work, because then again you are in lack mentality. If you try to make somebody change their minds, why? Because you are in the mindset that they have, the specific mindset that you don't like, and you focus on the mindset that they have that you don't like, and hence you keep on manifesting that mindset that they have that you don't like. So you have to change your mindset about them, about not having that specific mindset, and then you can switch into the timeline where they don't have that specific mindset that you don't like, but they do have the mindset that you do like. Got it? And yeah, people can do that to you as well, but not really, because it's a different version of you. It's not you. So don't worry. Nobody can like change your sexual preference. Okay? But again, you can manifest a version of your person that is into you. And even if it's same sex, different sex, if they always liked black women and you are as white as I am, or blonde and you're dark haired, or they always like voluptuous and you're skinny, or you're skinny and they always like the more curvier type, doesn't matter. You can manifest a version of them liking you if you can close your eyes and you can vividly imagine them telling you, oh my god, I'm so crazy about you, and you believe it, then only because that timeline is available for you. And it's just you work to get into that mindset that you believe that they can think you're attractive by starting to see your own value and your own attractiveness, and then they can mirror that back to you, or rather you would change it to that timeline where they will show you how amazing you are. And yeah, one more thing, it's even if you think you're not attractive, you know, the concept of attractiveness is changing. A while back I've heard it was really in to have like tiny small lips, and now it's more of voluptuous lips that are in. Yeah, like 200 years back I would have the perfect body shape probably, and then all of a sudden, like the 90s, the very skinny models were in, and now thank God I don't praise the Kardashians much. I can proudly say I've never watched any episode of them, but they bring curvy yeah back kind of like. So there's always like a shift in perception of what is beautiful. So you can, no matter what you look like, even if it's not what's currently in, it's just the current energy, and you can change the current energy. So you get to decide what is attractive or not. So okay, that was a bit rambling in the end. However, I have to repeat myself. If you want your own personal reading, I am available. I would look very much forward to talking to you. And also check out my other content, check out my other channel. It's more about tarot. It's called Twin Flame and Soulmate Coaching. Please check out my astrology stuff, especially if you are on the Divine Counterpart journey. If you are on the Divine Counterpart journey, please watch my video. I know it's kind of long. It's 2.5 hours. It's like a lecture. But again, I have done so much research. I have so much personal experience talking to thousands of clients, and it was just very important for me to go do like a very thorough video on different type of Divine Counterpart connections. So excuse the length, and I think you will learn a lot, and I wish you all the best.